Hello again. 3 o'clock PST, and it's the next episode in our talk today. And I feel very honoured, actually, very flattered. Belinda Hochland, the second generation, unfortunately, she couldn't be with us today. Our mother is very seriously at the last minute, and of course, absolutely family comes first. But she's kindly said that I could speak on her behalf to an extent as best I can. And she's let me use her father, Henry Rose. And excuse me here, his name was Henrik Rojagora originally. He was one of the guys that came to Crosby-on-Eden. And this is Henry. I don't know if people can see that. It's quite a remarkable archive we have. People wonder where we get the information from. We've been working on this for 15 years, and over time, one of the things we knew, the World Youth Relief had tremendous archives. I've met Paul Antigone a few times. They did great work in actually bringing the children over, but also helping setting them up for their new lives. Tremendous amount of support. We've learned about people like Oscar Friedman, Leonard Montefiore, of course, Marie Paneth. These were figures that appeared in the Windermere Children, and we were the main advisors on that when the drama came out and the documentary. And that team deserves enormous credit. And one of the things you realise is this that I have on my knee are archives available from them. Many of the families have accessed them, and they kindly let us, for many years now, take a look at what their families have, what the World Youth Relief had. It's helped us to piece together a background context that says before the children and the youngsters came to Carlisle and Windermere, and crucially what happened afterwards. Our focus, of course, is Windermere and the Lake District. Some of them say, we have had an occasion say we won't talk about anything that went on before, but we will talk to you, Trevor, because you are Windermere. So that's how crucial Windermere is in their lives. Among the photographs that Belinda has let me use are some that are very familiar to us. I don't know if people can see this one. A number of the boys have this selection of photographs. It was from a train that left Buchenwald towards the very end of the war, and quite a number of our children were on this same train, but very strangely, or maybe not, only recently have they begun to realise that they were together on the train. Ike said to me quite candidly, we were so obsessed with our own survival, we didn't really know what was around us. But he said, quite remarkably, that he was on the same train and he ended up living almost as a neighbour with somebody in Manchester, Sam, both very dear friends of ours, and they almost were joined at the hip going through the Holocaust and the camps, etc., but they didn't know it until recently. This train, we know, it was liberated actually near Theresienstadt. But the conditions on board, photographs here I'm not going to show, it's fair to say. Other photographs I can show, open top wagons. They're on board this train for up to 4 weeks. And actually, when you look at where it set off, as Henry mentions here, Buchenwald, and where it fetched up, it should normally have been, as the crow flies, or as the train goes, 4 or 5 hours. But quite what journey it went on, for it to take a month, it beggars belief what was going on. And some of the scenes and photographs was liberated by Czech partisans, and one of them took photographs of the carriages. And I wish I could show you, but for another time. If you ever want to realise what the guys had lived through and survived before they came here, these famous Buchenwald train photographs will tell. This photograph is quite a remarkable thing. I don't know if you can see that. Ike is on there, Ike Alterman, Sam Laskier, Hugh Browner, Joe and David, I know we've watched this at some point, their dad, and quite a number of our children seem to have been on this train, but that's only emerging recently. Ike is one of the ones waving a cap, and Joe and David's father is another one waving a cap at Liberation. So they're liberated on a train and they're taken to Theresienstadt. This, again, is one of the photographs of some of the guys who would shortly be arriving at Crosby-on-Eden after liberation at Theresienstadt, which was a really peculiar concentration camp, ghetto. It was a unique location. I've got time to go into that today. There's more of Theresienstadt. This one is interesting because this is actually Henry and the guys. I don't know if you can see that. Outside his hostel in Glasgow after they've left Windermere. Many photographs running through. This one I recognise immediately, is a group, this is Henry and a group of the guys, and he's written on the back, Windermere, Anglia, England. And this is Henry with a group of people. Some we identify as some of the guys that came. Some of them we think are carers, part of the carer team that was pulled up to Windermere by Central British Fund. We have, so the photographs are many and plenty. I want to go talk a little bit about the documents and how they help. It's amazing when you get, each record that we've looked at seems to be slightly different, what remains, but if you get a selection of a few of them, you often find they fill in the gaps. Henry's, we noticed, we knew when the guys arrived at Crosby-on-Eden that they were processed by an immigration officer, for instance. But Henry's had the very first landing card as such, stamped, Immigration Office, Crosby-on-Eden, 14th of August 1945. Now, that may seem pretty obvious to us nowadays, but if I tell you that a few years ago I gave a talk to a group of people, to a large audience, and at the end of my talk, somebody stood up from the audience, put his hand up, deliberately provocative in front of everybody else, and said, "These children were never here. This didn't happen." Now, I was so taken aback, and I hadn't been doing this work for very long, that I said, "Well, we have the proof, the evidence." He said, "I haven't seen it." Thankfully, a couple of other people from the audience then rounded on him. But that was an important lesson for me, that whatever we do here, or whatever we say, whatever work we're involved in the Lake District Holocaust Project, all of us involved in Holocaust education, we really do have to really secure the proof and the evidence for the future. The second story I can give, 2 years ago a visitor came into Windermere Library. He went away, he put a blog online which skirted around the world to some of the most unpleasant websites you can imagine. It was sent to me and it said, what he wrote was, "I went to Windermere Library, I went on holiday to the Lake District. It was wonderful. And I found this exhibition about these children, these Holocaust survivors who came to Windermere. What a wonderful exhibition. And it proved to me that the Holocaust didn't happen." Well, as well as cutting me to the bone, he then spent the next 3 or 4 pages of his blog explaining why, if the Holocaust had happened, the children that came to Crosby-on-Eden, to Windermere and to Southampton, all the ones brought to our World Jewish Relief, if there'd been a Holocaust, they wouldn't have survived. So this exhibition proves that they didn't. This is the challenges that we face nowadays. This is the importance of these documents and importance of the work that we do. Every photograph, every face, every document, double and triple copied, cemented in the work that we do. One last story. When I was invited to Downing Street, not to meet Browning, but to Downing Street when the discussions were beginning about the Windermere children drama, it was really emphasised, and there was a challenge to Simon, the screenwriter, whatever we did in the Windermere Children, in 100 years' time, if we drifted too far from the facts and the reality, could be used by Holocaust deniers. So whatever we did, and Simon rose to the challenge, and certainly we tried to, everybody did it, every incident in that drama was based on real life from our archives, from local people at Calgar who gave us some of the stories, from the boys who gave us the stories. Everything was verified 2 or 3, 4 times over. It was released to great acclaim. But the backdrop was we had to make sure it didn't deviate from the reality, because there are people out there who will challenge everything that we do. And in 100 years in the future, we've got to really safeguard against that. So my thanks to Belinda, and I hope her mum gets well soon. My thanks to Henry for bringing Belinda's collection. And my thanks to you guys for bearing with me just now. We'll be back on the half hour with another section of our lead into the 5 o'clock arrival of the first Sterling. Thank you.